All right, guys, welcome to episode 6 of the 90 Minutes or More podcast. You already know, tapping in on a weekly basis, giving you guys a whole bunch of updates when it comes to European football, when it comes to North American football, when it comes to world football, and all the news essentially scattered around the globe. As you know, I'm your host here at 90 Minutes or More, and we also have our co-host Vicente up on the stream. And yeah, we're going to get into some fun topics that, have been going on for the past week or so. Some interesting stories that have been developing, especially within some of the European leagues. So we'll get into it. How's it going, Vicente? How you doing?
Hey, how are you? How's everyone? If someone's watching,
Back again.
back again. Yeah, pretty good, man. All good here. That was a great week of football, this one.
Yeah,
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can predict and we can see what we can talk about as well.
100%. That's what we're here to do. Let's get right into it. So, yeah, the first thing I think we're talking about the Michael Carrick interim run that he's been having at Manchester United and how impactful. And, the reason everybody's kind of talking about this is, he steps in for Ruben Amorim, essentially, who was long overdue for a sacking, right? He steps in for Ruben Amorim. The first two games that he has in front of him are Manchester City and Arsenal. So not only are you facing Man City and Arsenal, you're also facing Pep Guardiola and Arteta, right? So he goes into the Manchester City match. They play really good football. They played a great brand of football. I got a chance to watch the game. And as soon as I turned on the TV, I could instantly tell that Manchester United had a completely different energy. Like they would look totally changed. There was a different take about them. I had to wipe my eyes. I'm like, is this the same team that I was watching 2 weeks ago? Because they completely look different. Anyhow, they went on to win against Manchester City. And of course, everyone's thinking, okay, one good game. It's Man City. It's a rival. Maybe it was luck. Maybe it was a fluke. Then they
Yeah.
go into the second game, of course, and they end up beating Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, right? So very interesting 2 games to start off as your manager. Very big games as well. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
what we've seen with Manchester United?
Well, I think both of them were pretty different games. And I also want to mention that, whenever a manager steps in, I think the players are they are trying to show some to the manager, to the new manager. They're trying
For
to
sure.
show them that they should be starting the starting 11 and stuff. And it's also like the players also do it as a little message to the last coach because they probably didn't like him before. So they
Right.
go 120%, right? That's very common whenever a coach is sacked and one coach steps in. Like what happened with Arbeloa is pretty much the same.
Very
And
true.
then I have to say that, well, in the first game with Man City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Man City was pretty dominant. Like they usually play their football, and I think Carrick pretty much organized the team pretty well to be able to go and counterattack a couple of times, and then they got it. They got the win, right?
Right. Right.
I think it was pretty much scripted, that game, in that regard, because like Man City is still under construction and stuff, and then Carrick took that opportunity for get the win. He has great players. He can play counter-attacking football, no problem. Great transitions and stuff, and yeah, and then they got the win. But whereas with Arsenal, I think it's more to talk about because I think Arsenal is trying to go for every single trophy this year, and they kind of feel that, oh, we're going to play Manchester United. They kind of underestimated the power of Manchester United in that game, and kind of
Yeah.
didn't play with the intensity they should have. And I think Arsenal can play with the ball without. It's pretty. We talked about this before. It's a very hybrid team, right? So I think they try to. There was part of the game where they try to wait for Manchester United to attack, and then there were parts of the game that they were trying to dominate the game as well. But I
Hmm.
think that I think it was the will of wanting to won that game, because I feel Arsenal is they're looking into the Champions League, they're looking into the other cups as well. They are they're pretty much the first ones on the league. I think Arsenal should be more, have a style as, okay, I'm going to play football like this, and I'm not going
Yes.
to step away from it, right? But no,
Yes.
they are too hybrid for my liking.
Yes. For
They're
sure. They're very dynamic.
they're attacking. Victor Gyökeres is not playing 100%, which he should be. But if Arsenal would be playing every single game very attacking football, he probably would shine more. I think. Well, Arteta is a hybrid manager. Is not too much of a Guardiola style, I would say, nowadays, especially.
Right.
He's very competitive, And
Right,
I
right.
think that's what happened, right? Like Manchester United saw the opportunity that they could beat them in intensity, and the intensity won that game essentially. What do you think?
For sure. Yeah, no, there was a couple of good points you said. Of course, the bounce back, the automatic bounce back that teams normally have under a new manager, under some new energy, under some new freedoms, like you said, wanting to prove their manager. Another big play or big part of the recent form with Manchester United is also the return of Lisandro Martinez, who's one of their big defenders. Uh, Very underrated return, as he completely solidifies them at the back. However, there's another good point that you made with Arsenal's brand and style and how it definitely got outplayed and they kind of lost a grip on it, during that Manchester United game. And the sentiment from what I was hearing after the game, there's a lot of posts online, of course, a lot of back and forth and banter. But there's one thing I kept seeing, and people kept posting football won today, football won today, football won. And the reason they were saying that is obviously sometimes Arsenal style can be dedicated towards certain phases of play or, as we know, corner kicks, set pieces, right? So I think there's a still image of the second goal, which Arsenal scored to tie the game. And if you look at it, there's like Arsenal's whole team is essentially on the goal line, because that's the strategy they play to weaponize the Olympico. And, so a lot of people have this contrast in their mind where it's like Arsenal plays a brand of football where it's like win anyway. You know what I mean? If we're gonna win off corner kicks, if we're gonna win off scraps in the box, if we're gonna win off rebounds, you know what I mean? Tip-ins, like this is kind of they attract so much pressure. They put teams under so much pressure that essentially they score like over inevitability. Like,
Essentially, yeah.
if Manchester United's goals that day with Patrick Dorgu and Matthias Cunha at the end, like they were really good goals, and other teams, even if you look at Barcelona, Inter Milan, whoever it is, we tend to have a different style where we're focused on still through balls, still power shots, still striking from different areas. It was just interesting to me to see that that's how the world looked at it, not even my opinion. It's just the world looked at it like, they almost don't want to see Arsenal win because of that, style that they play. And obviously, different passes of play, the more beautiful, more romantic football is played elsewhere, right? So yeah, that's what I thought of it. But all in all, I do think that Michael Carrick does have something going. I do think that he's definitely been studying this Manchester United team for quite some time, and it's clear that he stepped in with clear ideas. You know what I mean? He's not trying to try something. It looks like he's analyzed the last few years. He's analyzed the roster. He's obviously played for Manchester United himself, right? He knows a little bit more of the identity of the club and how they really want to see their players play. So I think that influence can't be overlooked at all. And I'm looking forward to seeing him, get him another couple wins and seeing what he can do. Mind you, Manchester United is only in the Premier League, so they only have one competition to focus on. So any
Yeah.
other thoughts
So
from your side?
well, there two wins, right? So they have to win three more times for the guy to cut his hair, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
You know what? I
The
think that
United strand.
at this point, like if the team already knows, once they win the 5 games, he should go in the stadium and like, have Carrick or Bruno Fernandez with a pair of clippers and like
Yeah, he should be
go
right
to
there
town with
front
us.
row. If they're at 4 wins, the United strand, he has to go to the game. He,
Yeah,
he has to front row, and we will all be watching the game just to
yeah,
see him get a haircut, just to see. What?
yeah. Yeah, that's all we want. And I'm sure the players are gonna give 150% in that game to win the game.
Yeah, exactly. No,
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
sure.
It'll be the most valuable haircut we've seen in football. It's hilarious.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, across Europe, honestly, there's obviously we know Amarim got sacked. Carrick stepping in. We know Xabi Alonso. He also parted ways with Real Madrid. Now it's Arbeloa. Another interesting one actually was Enzo Maresca, who parted ways with Chelsea even after winning the Club World Cup, and now in charge is Liam Rosenior. Now, Rosenior, honestly, I don't know too much about him other than that he's had some coaching experience in recent years across Europe. But what I do know is whenever he speaks is very clear and elegant, and he always has like this formality to the way he speaks. So he seems like a very interesting guy. So, do you have any thoughts on the Chelsea
Uh,
manager swap?
I think it's a bit rushed, the sacking of Maresca.
Maresca.
Opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was very because it's hard to the Premier League is hard, and I don't know what do they expect from the managers. Like, do they want it to be in the top four, top three? I don't. I whenever I see like Chelsea specifically, maybe Manchester United is different, but Chelsea specifically, I don't think they set realistic goals every season, and
Mm,
that's what managers sacked all the time. So okay, so
it's true.
let's say starting next season, they would like, okay, we have to be in the top four. We have to like, maybe compete the FI Cup, and then in the Champions League, we want to get at least to the quarterfinal. Those are realistic goals that teams at that level have to set, or not even saying, oh, I want to finish in the top four. I want to do a certain amount of points at the end of the league. Those goals are the ones that are gonna tell you if you should keep your manager or no. You can
Right.
just hire a manager and say, okay, I wanted to win the Premier League. I wanted to be as far as possible in the Champions League. I wanted to win this cup or this cup here. I think they got too excited with the World Cup of clubs, and I think they overestimated themselves. You have to keep in mind that they played a PSG that was on vacation. I hate to say it, but it's the
Yeah.
truth of
Yeah.
that final. So,
Right. No,
yeah,
100%. No, Chelsea, they still have a lot of strides to make. I now watched a couple of the games since the new manager's been in charge. Enzo Maresca, he was making some different I think one of the clear things I can see from Arbeloa, from Liam Rosenior, from Carrick is they had a totally different concept on the players that they would use, right?
yeah,
Opposed to their former managers. So as you can see with Xabi Alonso to Arbeloa, he's using Mastantuono religiously now.
yeah,
He changed the defense up a little bit. Like he's playing players that maybe weren't playing. Now with this guy Rosenior, it seems like he's also altered some of their offense. He's playing João Pedro more. He's playing
yeah,
Estevao every game. So it's only been a few games, mind you, but it seems like the concept on what players I should use, which is very important, obviously,
yeah.
the
But
combinations and
remember that the players
chemistry.
are bouncing back with a new manager, and all this is happening. So,
True. Yeah. Yeah.
we have to keep that in mind before we assess a manager. It should be like 10 games at least to see if there's
Minimum.
changes and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I think that's Chelsea's main problem, in my opinion. Like they get too excited when they see 2, 3, 4 games that were nice, and then after a 10th game is not the same, and they just sack them.
100%.
So
100%.
I
No,
think with
that's an
Manchester
excellent point.
United, it's different because they actually gave time to their managers. So it's the other side of the coin, right?
Way too much time. Both Ten Hag and Amarim. Way too much time.
But again, I think in every club, this is just my opinion, the manager, the sports director, they should be basically like almost like a dictatorship in the club. I want to do this. I want these players out, especially with so much money in the Premier League. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those two people have to set up the clear goals. For example, I think Manchester City is very smart in that sense because they let Guardiola and his sports director do all the job, all the work.
Right.
They the president just like, okay, you do what you need to do, and take as much time as possible, and that's
Right.
how they got all these results. And then now there's definitely there's a they have to be a renovation. The team, De Bruyne is out. Bernardo Silva is probably going to get out of there as well. And they're keeping Guardiola there because they know that he can do an entire revolution of the team. And
Right.
I'm 100% sure that in 1 or 2 years we're gonna see City at the top level again, just because of the Manchester City president gives Guardiola as much time as he
Their
needs to renovate.
process. Right. Right.
Everything is a process, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I agree. I agree. Yeah, and that's the thing. Why these managers come in and out. Oftentimes is because either right time, wrong timing. More often than not, wrong timing mixed with wrong ideas, and things just don't work out. But given that, actually, we're actually going to talk about a couple managers that were working out across Europe. Had a phone call interruption there. All right, I should put do not disturb. To be honest with you, I apologize, guys. We will edit this out. All right. So, like we were saying, yeah, oftentimes different things happen with managers, but there are a couple managers that have seemed to be working out. One of them is Unai Emery, right? I know he's not necessarily a new manager, not a new manager for Aston Villa either, but he's having an amazing year. He actually had a pretty good year last year too. So yeah, have you been following Aston Villa a little bit, or kind of seeing anything going on there?
I honestly haven't been following them a lot actually, but I know Unai Emery is a great manager, and
Yeah,
apparently they're letting him work, right? And there's definitely I see like in the table there's an increase of points this year in comparison to last year, and I think it's just a natural progression of things. So they're letting him work, and I appreciate that a lot actually.
100%. And he's like we're saying, he's finding that balance within the rotation, within his players, within the combinations and the chemistry, And their third place. I know he mentioned that they're not necessarily fighting for the title, but they're in third place. They're in great shape, and I think the Premier League year over year, obviously, it's always changing. It's always either going one way or another. And what I mean by that is styles of play, the physicality, it often like kind of tweaks year over year. And I find the manager that can really match the intensity for that year, usually will have good results. That's why we've seen
Yeah,
Leicester in the
one hundred
past,
percent.
or even Aston Villa now, who's not really one of the expected teams to be up there, but they find the rhythm of the league, and I think Unai Emery is one of those coaches that has found the rhythm of the league. He understands his opponents very well, the lay of the land, and I like those type of managers that really see the whole scope.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
So another manager that's also been doing really well is Cristian Chivu for Inter. So Inter is in first place in the Serie A. First time, coaching a big team. He did coach Parma last year, so he does have a little bit of experience with the Serie A. But from the team morale, from the way the players are playing, such as Lautaro, he's already equaled his goal tally from last year, right? And that was a Champions League finalist year. So he's getting a lot of out of his players. He's doing his thing. So it's good to see that he was able to come in for, like I said, to a big club and still keep that intensity. Do you have any thoughts on Inter or where they're at?
Well, I know that Kivu he won the treble with Mourinho,
Yes,
right? He was a
correct.
key player on that team, and I don't like when people say that your experience as a player do not count for being a manager. That's such a lie. I
No,
have to
no,
be honest. And,
yeah,
yeah, so like for example, with Xavi Alonso or Xavi Hernandez, they had great managers. They did great jobs in their first coaching job and stuff. And Kivu now he's with Inter, his first big team, and I think as a player he knows everything that comes with coaching a big team like Inter Milan, right?
yeah.
So yeah. And what about the styles? The style of playing? Do you think it's a continuation from last manager, or you think it's just something new?
You know what? I think he's added a touch different. He's kind of kept the same foundation. It seems to me like he's kind of worked with the players on this and understanding. Okay, let's keep the same foundation, but let's add a few different aspects into it as well. So one thing is the revelation of DeMarco. Last year DeMarco was underutilized, and for his attacking potential, for the amount of balls he can put in, for the work rate that he can work at. You know what I mean? He was being a little underutilized, and I think this year Kivu kind of put a focus on that and understanding, okay, who can put the best quality of balls in, right? Who can pick out the players with the high frequency. So there's been that. Like I said, Lautaro, he's having, an amazing year. He's already up to 14, 15 goals on the season. And I think what's one of the most important things that Kivu's been able to do is give confidence to some of the new guys and some of the younger guys. Last year with Inzaghi, it was always kind of like, okay, these are your 6 or 7 starters, and maybe the 3 guys that are rotation. Always had to really. They always did never felt confident. They always had they like I don't know if you remember, we had Taremi. So Taremi was one of the forwards that they were putting up there, and he never had confidence. He never really knew what he was doing. So with Kivu, he's given the role players and the rotational players more of a clear idea. Another mention is Zielinski. So Zielinski, the last couple of years for Inter, he's been kind of like, it's almost like he's been hiding. And this year he's been able to come out of his shell. He took a few penalties. He's given more leadership, more responsibility, right? So I think Inzaghi, essentially what I'm saying, he was putting his responsibility and leadership into a few players, right? And this year, Kivu's saying, let's open it up. Everybody can share the workload, and players are benefiting from it. I was also going to talk about Pio Esposito, who's kind of been a bit of a revelation for Inter. Even after the match that they lost against Arsenal, there was people tweeting from England. Who is this Esposito kid? Is he for sale? Getting high remarks such as that. So, yeah, he's a kid that's come into this inter squad as well. He's very brave, and the reason I wanted to bring him up is not only is he been given that responsibility and delegation from Chivu, he's been taking it on his own to unlock games, to score big important goals in big moments. I think he's up to 5 goals on the season, and this is we're talking about a 20-year-old striker, right? So operating in spaces where he's being covered by experience and a lot of defenders, physical defenders, he's still able to show his scoring strength. He's also assisting and contributing there. So yeah, of course, have had a kind of a more of an in-depth approach to this topic, but yeah, no, I feel like a lot of the players have confidence now. I'd say there still has been a couple drawbacks with Chivu as well, as I'd say maybe some of the big game preparation. He still needs a little bit more work there. He's not. I don't think he's at a Hansi Flick level where he can go into like a really big game and prepare for it beautifully, almost. But I think he can get there. He can definitely get there. It's just he's gonna need to lose a couple of those big games now so that he can learn and progress.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Now I guess we can go into the La Liga recap as well and see what's been happening with the title race. So what's been going on with La Liga?
Well, it's pretty stable, or not stable, but more like, things are progressing the way are supposed to be progressing, I'd say. Madrid is winning their games. Barca is winning their games. Madrid beat Villarreal last
Seen
time,
that. Seen
2-0,
that.
and Villarreal is third on the league, if I'm not wrong. I
Seen that.
think, yeah. And then Barca just they had the pressure to beat the next game, and they did with Real Oviedo. It was emotional to see Santi Cazorla talking to Pedri and Gavi at the end of the game. Definitely,
Okay.
he plays for Real Oviedo. That's his team, right? And I think he's 41. He's playing for them, and I
Yeah.
think Barcelona, they're doing their job. They're playing great intensity, and they are taking the league very seriously. I think that this team wants to get a second league in a row for sure.
Hmm.
Cancelo is starting to get into the team. I like that. I like that Hansi Flick started with him for 60 minutes and pull him out. We talked about this last week. The amount of rotations that now we have as a Barcelona team, it's much more. It makes you feel a lot safer for any game, because that there's always somebody in that spot. Definitely, Pedri is like a very crucial player to have. I would say it's the most important player, even above Lamine Yamal. And you definitely notice when he's not on the field. But aside of Pedri, I think all the players they are all replaceable. Not at the same level, but
Even
pretty
even
much.
even guys didn't Barcelona just re-sign Fermin Lopez?
Yeah, yeah. He got a pay raise because he had to
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot
Yeah.
of teams
So
are after him. A lot of teams are after him. For example, Lamine Jamal, of course he's like a 10, but then you have Rooney Bardghji, which is like an 8 or 7 sometimes. And you can keep the average of the team pretty much there all the time. Same with Rafinha and Rashford on
right,
the
right.
other side. And then you have Olmo and Fermin in the middle. And then whenever Ferran is not, healthy, obviously you have Robert Lewandowski as the number 9. And then Marc Bernal, Casado, they're doing a great job in the midfield as well. And then the defense, we have so many more options. Now Araujo apparently is returning to his shape. So, yeah, it's all about options for this
For
season.
sure.
We need as many
Yeah, no,
options as we can.
Barcelona usually they don't need too much offensively. I think with Lamine Yamal, he seems like he's able to combine with almost anybody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
obviously, having a good striker, having people to put the ball in the net, that's non-negotiable, right? But I think essentially, yeah, that's why the guys like Rooney, he can come in and it doesn't look like he's new. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't.
They can
Yeah, he keeps the
they
level
can
of the team pretty
assimilate
well.
his level. They can assimilate his level. Yeah, a little
And
bit
even
easier than
if you don't have, even if you don't have Dani Olmo or Fermin, Lamine has played as a number 10 as well, and then Rooney on the side. And when they play together, it's pretty fun to see as well. So,
right.
I really like this team. Like, I feel that last year I was really excited because of of Flick being a manager and all that and how intense the team was. But this year I feel it's more fun to watch it because there's so many options that go into the field, and it's fun to see
Right.
like different combinations
The
on different
rotations,
games.
yeah,
Like, yeah, the
right,
rotations are amazing because I think, it's something fun to see when I saw for the first time Rooney playing with Lamine. I had so much fun because I never seen that before. Or Olmo playing with Fermin, another great alternative. And
right.
I've also seen Ferran playing with Lewandowski as well, or De Jong playing as a number 10, which had happened as well. And now with
Hmm.
Cancelo, I can see Cancelo combining with Lamine, or on the other hand, I can see Cancelo combining with Rafinha. Like it's so fun to watch now. It's
Yeah.
there's so many alternative and so many, like it's like a jazz concert. There's a lot of improvisation in there, and then it's pretty fun to
Yeah,
watch.
right. No, I agree. I agree. You guys definitely seem very transformable right now, like you guys can kind of put your spots in and this and that. Yeah, and I think in terms of La Liga race, it's clearly tight. It's very still unfortunate in my mind about that one game where I think against Sociedad where it should have been still 3 points up. Like if that were my club, I would be pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, I think obviously Real Madrid now they have little bit of inspired life, So I think it's like I said last week, a two-horse race. I know Villarreal and Atletico Madrid are kind of in the background, but quality-wise, I don't see, and it's crazy because Madrid is kind of Barcelona, their brand, and you guys have like a quality brand, whereas Madrid, it's like they just have the quality players, but not necessarily the quality brand, So I guess that's the battle, right? Is it going to be individuality or team that wins La Liga, So it's going to be very interesting in that regard. For
I
Madrid, though,
think
I like to see that Mastantuono is playing a bit more and he's adding more influence into the team. I don't know. For me, they're just more fun to watch when he's playing in that regard. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say that we talked about this at the beginning that whenever there's a new manager, there's a bounce back as well. So let's see how far Madrid can keep this intensity. I hope not for too long because you never know. And
Yeah.
yeah, they are playing the football they are used to play. Yeah, and they long runs and Vinicius is kind of getting back to his level. Then you have Mbappe, of course, playing amazingly. Mastantuono creating a little bit of a difference in there. I think, yeah, it's a lot of a bounce back. Let's see how far they can keep running. We'll see. Yeah, I hope not for too long. That's my hope.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
yeah.
I think they have the chance to win this league. They'll do whatever it takes to win it for sure.
That's I think the one thing. I don't think they're playing well. I don't even think, Mbappe is having a good year, but a lot of penalties included, So I feel like if they have a chance of winning, it's just out of sheer determination and like wanting to beat Barcelona, more than wanting to
Yeah.
win La Liga. Like they want, to be able to have that over Barcelona, to be like, we are the champions of Spain for whatever reason. So,
You have
and
to
it's like that though.
you have to keep in mind that there's two crucial elements that can help Real Madrid win this league. The first one is that they probably are already in the top 8 of the Champions League. So they will be not playing that playoff. And then they are also eliminated from Copa del Rey. So they do not have to play those games either. So Barcelona, whatever happens this Wednesday, we don't know if they're going to be in the top 8. So there is a chance that they might have an extra game or extra 2 games to play those playoffs.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And they are also still in the race for the Copa del Rey. So they have a lot of more extra games. You have to
Hmm.
keep that in mind. Yeah, so that might be very beneficial for Madrid in terms of La Liga, right? Like they might have a little bit of an advantage these few weeks.
Right. Yeah, yeah. If they take advantage of those weeks where it might only be 1 or 2 games, it could be good for them over the long run. And I've seen Madrid have those type of runs. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think they're bound to get tested somewhere, especially even in La Liga. So I think that's bound to happen. But they're definitely on a better trajectory than maybe a month ago, let's say, right?
Yeah,
I think
for
the
sure.
trajectory is slightly better at this point. So yeah, that's good for that.
That's
Speaking
good for
about
that.
speaking about the Champions League, a lot of teams are currently in that spot. It's going
Yeah.
down to the last day tomorrow, actually. So let me just pull up quickly what the standings exactly are. That way we can kind of, make a little bit of a assumption as to what's going to go on. So essentially, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams tied with 13 points. That's PSG, Newcastle, Chelsea, Barcelona, Sporting, Man City, Atletico Madrid, and Atalanta. And then there's Inter and Juventus that are on 12 points. Inter actually do have a very big matchup. Um, it's so hard to say as
Yeah.
to what's going to happen because there's only 8 spots. And there's about, essentially 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 or 9 teams, 10 teams that can, make those final spots, So I guess we can do you know who you're facing for the Champions League this week?
I think it's Copenhagen.
Copenhagen?
Yeah.
Copenhagen. Honestly, they're a bit of a fiery team. They're a little feisty, but it should be
Everyone in the
manageable.
Champions League, you don't know. You can assume that you will win
Yeah,
uh every single game in the Champions League, and even less for more than 2, 3, 4 goals.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we have to go with the head down and try to do our best. That's simply, and if it doesn't happen, we still can play the playoffs. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It shouldn't
That's
be a drama if we are not in the top 8 or
yeah,
yes or whatever.
because regardless, I don't think there's any way that Barcelona's gonna not be in the next round, right? So
Yeah.
either way, along with Inter Milan, I was gonna mention that we actually are going into Borussia Dortmund for our final match. So I want to be as confident as ever, but I know that yellow wall is a bit of a different beast, and it gets really
Very
loud in
difficult.
there. Style wise, we might have the edge, in terms of our approach. And I know Dortmund is a very counterattacking team, and they really try to hit you quick. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a dogfight. I don't want to be like, oh, we're gonna win for sure. It's gonna be a
Yeah.
dogfight, and I'm okay with that because, like you said, either way, I think Inter is more so headed towards the playoffs. I don't know if
Yeah.
a win will get them in the top 8 at this point because they're 1 point under with 12 points. So it's going to be
Yeah,
very interesting
definitely.
to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Champions League is it's a different beast. We every time we talk about it, it's a different thing, right? So many teams in the top 8, so many teams in the top 16. We should not. What if you support Barca, if you support Inter, it's not a drama to be in the top 16. It's not a drama at all. It's just 2
Yeah.
extra games. They
Yeah.
have to be played. They might affect your league performance as well, but it is what it is. Last year, PSG was in the top 16 and they ended up winning the Champions League. So you
Winning.
never know.
Yeah. Very good point. Very
So
good point.
it's very important to go with your head down and play as good as you can. And yeah, I personally really like this format, this league format, all the way to now. I would switch a couple of things, but it is what they have come with, and I think it's fine. It's fine
Yeah.
for all the teams. It's interesting to see all those matchups kind of every week, almost every week. We see
For sure.
great games.
This year I got to see Inter versus Liverpool, Inter Atletico Madrid, Inter Arsenal, now Borussia. Unfortunately, we lost those 3 games, which sucks. But the good thing is we won, I think, our first 4 matchups. So we were 4 out of 4. So that kind of helps your case, even though they're against weaker teams, is what it is, part of the tournament. Yeah, no, but essentially, after tomorrow, then they're gonna go into this draw, and I know, it's always, um, yeah, I guess they do the draw now essentially after the matchups. It's not just who you're facing right away. So
Yeah,
there might be there's still a lot of time to kind of analyze. So yeah, I think we'll probably analyze it a little bit more towards when we know the
towards next
matchups, and
week.
then we can kind of go one by one and
Yeah,
you know really, really give our opinions because yeah, it's hard to understand form. Like even like you were saying, with the league and Champions League, Atalanta, until last week's loss, they went 4 games unbeaten in the Champions League. But if you look in Serie A, like they're nowhere. You know what I mean?
yeah.
A lot of teams either put their eggs
Very
into
emphasis.
certain baskets. I was actually hearing I was actually hearing somebody speak earlier about the difference between winning your league and getting to like a Champions League final, and monetarily, which a lot of these teams have their interest in finance, obviously.
Yeah,
I think they were saying it's more you would make more money by getting to a Champions League final than winning like the Serie A, for example, right? So that's something that's interesting because obviously as football fans, we're just thinking about winning the cup, whatever cup it is. But other teams might be like, oh, you know what? If I go this route, I actually make $60 million more this season, more this season, so the
Yeah, but
monetary
you have to
incentives always are there.
that is a very it's kind of a simplified analysis in my opinion in that regard in terms of money. Because I think that, you have to realize that if you are on top of the league, you will move more masses. So more people are going to go to your stadium. More, you're probably going to sell more merchandise. Your team is going to
True,
become more popular because it's a
true,
week to week progression, right? Whereas the Champions League is not a week to week progression. You can show up at the final without your fans knowing that you're going to be in the final, you
right,
know?
right.
So in that regard, like, the tournament itself might make more money, but the progression of winning a league might
The
make you more
value,
money at the
yeah,
end of the
the
day.
value, exactly, for sure, for sure. And like I said, I guess it just depends on club interests. Some clubs are
Yep.
just like, if I could get to that next transfer window and I have that extra $40 million, it's just, you know what I mean. Not necessarily the bigger clubs, but I could see like a team like Atalanta. In this stage, they're gonna, whatever money they can get from winning the Champions League, they're gonna do that because Serie A might be out the window or whatever.
Yeah. But I always like to see teams prioritizing their leagues more than the Champions League because
Right,
you never know, you will lose or win. Like Atalanta playing for the Champions League, that's a bit of an unrealistic goal.
right,
That's
right,
why I really like what Villarreal is doing. They know that they probably will not win the Champions League, so they just threw it away. And
right.
now they are third in the league. They're doing very well. There's a lot more interest. Probably for next transfer window, they'll be able to sign new players. So, you have to think strategically with this with
I,
these
I
things. You
agree. I
have to know
agree.
where you
Yeah,
stand.
no, what you're doing in the league matters. It's very valuable. It's very valuable. Look, we're even talking about Aston Villa, right? They're not in the Champions League, but because they're doing well in the league, they're still talked about. You know what I mean? So, 100% agree. Value versus money versus achievements and accolades. It's part of football.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. But yeah, like we said, we will follow the Champions League and give you guys some more updates as things happen. It's going to be the last day tomorrow, so it's going to be very exciting to see all the results and to see where any teams land. Actually, speaking of that, quickly before we fall off of it, I just wanted to look at the bottom teams, right? And if there's any teams that might have a chance of being eliminated or not. So as I can see now, Copenhagen is on 8 points, and
Yeah.
they're 2 spots outside. So Copenhagen, you already know, you guys are gonna have a dogfight with Barcelona. Napoli is in the same situation as Copenhagen, and the three teams above are Olympiacos, Athletic Club, and PSV. So it seems like those five teams are clearly the ones that are looking for that win and are going to be most desperate to try to win. Club Brugge has 7 points, so they're probably. So yeah, I think pretty much any teams between 7 and 9 points are really, you know what I mean, going to be in the bunker. So that would be Marseille, Leverkusen, Monaco, PSV, Athletic Club, Olympiacos, Napoli, Copenhagen, and Club Brugge. So yeah, that's a big pack of teams. So I just kind of wanted to quickly go over that just to see if there's any really desperate teams that might pull off a win. But yeah, obviously you have Copenhagen, so best of luck to you with that.
No, to be honest, that's you can see it both ways, right? Especially with that team Copenhagen. If they have to play attacking football, they will probably suffer, especially against Barcelona, because of
Yeah,
the level of they are desperate to win, so they have to attack. And then Barcelona can have more spaces to score more goals, right?
yeah,
So you can see it
yeah.
both ways, right?
Risky game. It's a risky game for
Risky
them
game
for
for them
sure.
too.
Yeah.
They have everything to lose. We're
And
practically in the top 16.
and if they're a Dutch team, chances are they're not going to sit back. They're not going to just want to defend for 60 minutes and win 1-0.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even think that's part of football. And I actually next week, I wanted to talk a little bit more about modern tactics and things like that. I've
yeah,
been doing my own ChatGPT analysis, so I'll give you some ideas, and we'll talk about modern football. Because obviously there's, people used to say the park the bus, the Mourinho type wave, right? And I don't think football really allows for that as much. You can park the bus at times, right, during football, but I see teams that will try that style, and there's only so many attacks that you can withstand nowadays. I feel, and then
Well,
obviously,
if you see for this format of like the league format, I think it's hard to park the bus, and that's
yeah,
great for football because you
yeah,
gotta go for the 3 points, right? Whereas we're gonna get to the playoffs, and that's when we're gonna see a lot of teams parking the bus, very
right,
likely, because
right,
obviously the World Cup, you see how it works, or the Champions League finals, the semifinals, you see how the teams that park the bus sometimes they have great results. That's where the forces are equalized, essentially, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it was maybe between like say Mourinho times and like maybe up until 2020, it was effective. It was very effective, but I think teams are now figuring out ways to break that down, to add more pressure. Where parking the bus for 10 or 15 minutes, that's acceptable. Parking the bus for half an hour or a whole half, it's impossible in this
Yeah.
modern era. So
The new format, yeah, doesn't allow for that. But in the final, you can have a team that parks the bus because it's just one game. It's
yes,
a different.
yes, finals are a
It's
little bit
really,
different.
it's really about the format, in my opinion. I would say,
Yes.
but yes, like for example, Arsenal has found their corner kicks. They find a way to score even if the other team is parking the bus, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
I hope that, and that's something that we
Or even
haven't talked about.
even
But
PSG last year, right? How they
yeah,
played, right? So a lot of teams tried to do that with them and park the bus, and it didn't work. It's like, because once you have 20, 30, 40, not attempts, but like times that you're going towards the net, it's tough to deal with.
suffer.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, no, we'll do a whole segment on modern football tactics, and we'll dive deep. Um, but yeah, I think we covered most of the topics. Do you have anything else you wanted to bring up about this week or next week?
I think not this time. I think that this week has been very stable in football.
Yeah, yeah,
There was like the Manchester United wins and stuff, but after that, I think the good stuff is gonna be next week. You know what I mean?
exactly.
After, yeah.
100%, 100%. So before we go, actually, we wanted to remind you that we have recently partnered with BioSteel as an affiliate. So we have an official discount code that we wanted to provide you guys. And yeah, I'll let you guys essentially get discounts on proteins, energy drinks, powders, shakes, you name it. They have one product that I've really been eyeing, which is their beetroot energy powder, which I know is really amazing for energy and having more sparks throughout your day through your workouts. Anyhow, let me get right to it. So our unique discount code is minutes or more. That is all one word, 90 minutes or more. And I'm going to include the link in the description, and I'm going to include the link here on video on screen so you guys can check that out. I know Vicente is an avid protein powder
I'm all
participant,
about
if
protein,
you want
man.
to say. So
Their whey protein is pretty good,
yeah,
and I like to have it with my coffee or my oatmeal. So if you guys want a recipe for that, I can also do it.
there we
And
go. There
yeah,
we
for
go.
sure.
So you get the discount code and you get the recipe from Vicente to get your your mornings and your day started right. Anyways, yeah, no, we want to thank everyone at BioSteel as well for giving us the opportunity to affiliate with them, and we're happy to yeah, spread the word. Anyways, so link in description and on screen. Make sure you get your BioSteel. And yeah, that is a wrap for our weekly podcast. Yeah, we're gonna be with you guys next week. Next week is gonna be, as we've already spoken about Champions League matchups. We're going to talk about more about modern tactics and modern football. We're going to follow the Carrick story and see how he does. And yeah, lots more to come as well. Anyways, guys, thank you for rocking with us. You already know, 90 minutes or more. We're out.